Hello. Hello. How are you? I want you to like this page and share it. Like it and share it because I'm going to interview a very good friend of mine, and she's been helping people to get their book out of them and not take that book to the cemetery, as Miles Monroe would say. Rob the cemetery of your greatness, of your art, of your books, of your leadership, of your voice. I want you to like this page and share it. Her name is Mari Santana. Mari, how long have we known each other?
A lifetime, over 30 years. And
Oh,
I am delighted and honored to be on a split screen with you, sir. This is like going back to my anchoring days when I was interviewing presidents. I feel like I'm interviewing you, the hottest president on earth now.
okay.
Barack Obama.
I know.
Actually, or Biden. I'm thank you. I'm thankful for you for your presence, and I'm so happy to share all of the things that we've done together. We've helped a lot of people to find their voice and their stories. We're storytellers, and we guide
Yes.
people into letting the world know, the essence of you know their past through this earth, their path, what they did here, how they did it, whose lives they touched. That's what we help them tell.
You read a quote before we came on. Read that quote again.
Let's see if I find the quote. I was talking to you about Benjamin Franklin.
Yes.
He said, if you would not be forgotten as soon as you are dead, either write something worth reading or do something worth writing.
I
Isn't
love
that
that.
beautiful?
Yes.
Isn't that
Yes.
beautiful? So let's talk about that. How I think you are the perfect person to let everybody know what to put in a book. But first, let's start with, why is it important for us to leave a legacy? I know that we have lost over 250,000 people with this pandemic. There are people who I was talking to 2 weeks ago and that they're gone. And you think, oh my God, that person wanted to write a book. I was actually talking to that person about writing a book. They had notes and their family were all over and be, let's do it. And it stopped right there in the intention.
You
It's a
know, when you think about Boo,
Yes, our beloved Boo, the best cook in the world,
yeah,
handsome fellow, your cousin Boo.
yes, my cousin Boo. And
Yes.
he kept saying, I'm going to write this book with his special Caribbean and Bahamian recipes. When
Yes.
Boo cooked, angels stopped flapping their wings. So
Yes.
when Boo cooked, we all got quiet and waited in great
Yes.
anticipation.
hmm
And Boo passed. And when I was
Yes, he
coming
did.
out of the cemetery, a lady approached me and said, Mr. Brown, we buried a good man today. And I said, I know. She said, you talked often about him writing a special book with his secret recipes. I said,
hmm
yes.
Yes.
And she asked, did he do it? And I said, no. And she said, ooh, he took that with him.
Yes.
He took that with him.
And
And there are people now listening who need your help. There are
yes.
people during this pandemic, it's a time of reflection, of deciding to live a life of no regrets and not take their talents, their story, and the experiences they've had that will leave a legacy not just for their family, but for others. Talk
Right.
about your process and how you help people.
Well, normally we find out, what it is that they want to leave. What do they want people to remember them most, for? What lessons have they learned, and what lessons do they want to pass on to the generations that will be coming in their families? Generations
Mhm.
to come want to hear about it. Like I wish I knew about my grandfather, who in the Dominican Republic, when he used to be a landlord owner, and he had all these he had cattle and he had goats. And then there was a huge hurricane in the 1920s, and my great grandfather, and so he was so depressed because the river overflowed and took all of his animals away. And he was so depressed, he covered his head and he died 40 days later in the bed. He just never ate, never, and so I really wanted to understand what kind of pain is that,
Mhm.
and so I always carried that with me my whole life. Like, I'm not going to be like, my ancestors, that they died because of, he died because something bad happened. And then my grandmother also died on account of a horrendous grief, and so these are lessons that I learned and I pass on to my child and we pass on to our little ones. Resilience is the name of the game. I learned that from you, when I first met you when I was young and beautiful. It was like awesome.
You still are. You still
Thank
got it like
but
that.
but when I said, one time when I just met you, you said, okay, I'll meet you at the Mario Marquis, so before I knew it, I saw my face on the big screen with 5,000 people in the audience, and you said, come on up and speak about your immigrant experience. And I was, what? And I survived. That is resilience. That is
Yes,
like,
and
I can do it.
You did it extremely well, and you helped speakers.
Yes, and let's tell people it's what is leaving a legacy. It's also intertwining great stories, like in your book that I had a chance to help you, come up with different storylines. You
Yeah.
gotta be hungry. You were missing that awesome story about Boo and how he,
Yes.
and I was like, no, we got to put in Boo's story, because I remember he used to come to New York while you were doing WBLS radio, and he would cook for you. We would all eat like,
Right.
died. But so these are who are the characters in your family that you want to also be remembered in your narrative? What are some of the experiences in your life that became lessons, and how do you pass on those lessons? So your job is to help our friends that are watching us right now. Is tell them how you structure that in your head. Like, how am I going to tell a good story? Because you always emphasize, never tell a good story, never tell a story without a point, and never make a point without a story.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that's very important, and you know this to be true, it's one thing to speak for the ear. It's something else to write for the eye.
Wow. Yes, you are so true.
Yes. And so what I like about what it is that you do, because everybody don't have the level of discipline and have the ability to tune out all the distractions that can interrupt the creative flow. So what you do is they tell you their story.
Yes. And the name of my project, my writing project, is called You Tell, I Write.
Yes.
A book.
You tell,
I write a book.
All right. That's what he does.
So how do I do it? I just with a Zoom, with phone calls, we record them. We pick 10 topics of things we want to talk about, and then we do those 10 hours of recordings. We may need more, we may need less, and then we pick the topics that are most important, and then we just dive into them, and we do a little bit of research, and I talk to friends, families, cousins, uncles, whoever is still alive. We go into ancestry.com. We just find more information, and we produce a great story, and it goes into a manuscript, and then you choose how you want to print it. If you want 100 books to give it out instead of a memorial, then you do that. If you want to give it to people while you're still alive, which I highly recommend.
Yes.
Because everybody's going to be calling you, you forgot to include me in your book, that kind of stuff. But it gives seniors an exciting thing to do, and something to be busy with, because they start looking for pictures, and they no longer think of the pandemic.
Right.
They don't think that they're being alone. So I become like their little friendly companion. We do Zoom calls, so we talk FaceTime, and they start bringing out all these memories, and we start recording them so that we don't lose them, and it becomes a conversational narrative. They tell me, and I keep writing, and then we have a book.
I want you to tell people how they can get in touch with you right now.
Well, you can write me an email and at you tell I write at gmail.com, or you can go to my website at marisantana.com, and you can also send me a message through there.
Well, let's slow down, Mari. Okay, you tell
I write at gmail.com. You as in you, just the letter U, tell, T-E-L, the letter I, write, at gmail.com.
Excellent. And what is your email?
I just told you.
Mari Santana.
My website is
Oh, your website of
marisantana.com.
Mari said MARI
SANTANA
Say it again.
dot marisantana.com.
Got it. Okay.
So we also,
SANTANA.
just like Carlos Santana, you know,
Got it.
my
Okay.
cousin. So Les, actually, I do this in Spanish as well, you know,
Okay.
and
That's good to know.
because I'm, you know, bilingual and bicultural. So,
Yes.
and I happen to be Black too, so you know I can add that in.
You are the rainbow.
Yes. I check all the little boxes. How's that?
Yeah, that is great.
Yes.
So tell me, what has been the most exciting part of what you're doing now, helping people to tell their story and you write it? What's some of the fascinating things that you've heard?
Well, one of the best works I've done is the memoir of one of your clients, you know, Gabe Alvarado, Gabe and Precious Alvarado. Gabe survived an explosion in a refinery in Corpus Christi, Texas, and he survived. And he told me about it, and I interviewed him, and we did an amazing story, and we launched the book. He's a very successful man now, and he's probably going to go to Hollywood. But the story was about him, and she jumped in, his wife, and she said, well, but it happened to me too. It happened to my entire family. And I said, okay, come on in. So they both jumped in. So we created chapters, you know, we created like a little iconic figure on top of each, you know, when we started each chapter, so that we know it was him talking. And then we created another little cartoonish character about her. And so we knew it was her when she was talking. And she wanted to dedicate that to her father, because her father, which was Gabe's, you know, father-in-law, he helped him so much, and he gave up so much to help him come back to life, that they wanted to honor him. And so the book was dedicated to him. So you can do that as well. You know, you can write your story and dedicate it to someone you love, or someone who was significant in your life, or to your children. The good thing is that he's also a speaker, and we've been training him as a speaker, and now he has a card to present as in a book.
Gabe
presentation card.
He's awesome. Now, let's first of all, we just rushed into this. Tell people about your background. When we left New York, I went to speak around the world, and you went to work with Disney. How long did you work with Disney?
16 years. I was the spokesperson, official spokesperson, and I managed media from all over the world, and from the US and Hispanic. And I traveled the world as well with Mickey, Minnie, Goofy, Pluto, Donald Duck, and Daisy. Why you travel alone?
So you see, I got my little Mickey Mouse shirt.
But yes, and all the goodies that I could find, I could, of course, send them to you. But it was so I trained a lot of executives as well to do speaking and on message, and we launched over 100 products. And so, as you notice, Disney is the best storyteller in the world in terms of entertainment. So everything has a story. I mean, even the thatched roofs of Animal Kingdom's lodge has a story. You know, the 100 men that came, you know, from some country in Africa, you know, we had to follow them and tell their story. You know, I mean, they always found a storytelling to be the key element that connected people to anything, to an object, to a movie, a ride, a character, an enchanted experience, you know. So
what was that first cartoon that was stolen from him? Was it Elmer?
Waldo.
Waldo, that's it.
Yes, Waldo.
Waldo.
And he learned a great lesson.
Yes, but they just got the rights to Waldo.
Yes.
They kept fighting to get that. So
because it was significant. Yes, because I think Waldo was Walt Disney's greatest teacher, you know, in terms of the lesson that he learned, you know, to be able to read between the lines and read the small print, you know, never just take a contract and sign it just like that. Always, always, always find somebody that knows more than you do about those things and have them review it.
And he
Exactly.
organized another team with people that he had a history with. People that
Exactly.
he
He
served
was
in the military.
people,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
and he was known also to reward people that were loyal and that worked hard. You know, if you dedicated your time and you sacrificed family time, he made sure that he rewarded you for it. So, and that was pretty much what happened in Disney. You know, we worked very, very hard. It was very intense 16 years of my life that I will always cherish, especially my relationship with Mickey. You know what it's like to travel with this little fellow everywhere? I was instantly famous just to be his managing agent. But we did a lot of television shows. You know, we did a lot of launching of like the Animal Kingdom, for example. We did a 15 city tour with semi trucks, and we literally created a small version of the park.
Wow.
And one time in Miami, there was an 11-mile backup of people
What?
trying to get into our little cove. You know, we created in a park a little experience, and they wanted to meet Mickey, and people would just go crazy trying to be online and holding their places and stuff. You know, you don't mess with that. And we stood there, and then we had there was a windstorm during one of those things, and I remember it was so strong. People just stood in line, and then by the time I looked at the rest of my crew, we all had our faces black with soot. I don't know where it came from. It was
Uh-huh.
probably just the dirt in the park, but we literally had to go and take a bath and put everything on hold because we were full of dust, and people was still in line, and Mickey was still saying hello and hugging kids throughout it all. You know.
Yes. If you're just joining us, this is Mari Santana, and she has a program where you tell and she writes. And her website is the letter U, TELL, you tell, I write.com. Am I correct?
No, that's my email. You tell I write at
At
gmail.com.
gmail.com. My
And my
apologies.
website is marisantana.com.
Yeah, marisantana.com.
Mhm.
And you tell I write at gmail.com.
Yes,
And she will hook you up. And
yes,
she does it in a different kind of way. That different people have different approaches and getting a book out.
right.
And she does a deep dive in your background with other family members and other experiences and her years of working with the greatest storytellers on the planet.
Yes.
Disney, 16 years there. She knows a thing or two when it comes to telling a story. And she has now positioned herself to provide services for those of you that say, I don't want to take this book with me.
Right.
And that's a good idea.
Oh,
You
I don't.
call and she will write. Okay. So I want you to go to you while the letter U, you tell, TELL, I write at gmail.com. And her website is marisantana.com. Am I right?
Yes, Liz, that was excellent. So I just wanted to tell you that writing a book, it's a simple process, but it's as simple as you make it. You know, you can start writing notes right now, and then you can just write to me and say, hey, I would like to tell this particular story, or I just want to let my children know this about me, or I want my community to remember me for that. And we'll go into those details, and it'll be done through interviews, and we just talk to each other. It's a conversation. I don't want you to think that you're talking to somebody who is going to be questioning you about your life. I am a journalist. Since I was 14 years old, I've been working on television, and when I met Les, I was anchoring news in New York. So I also spent 20 years of my life as a journalist, and I put that into practice in telling your story. I make sure that that we cross the T's, and that we make sure that whatever you tell me that is verifiable, and that and if I think that it's not going to work and telling you something's not going to work, then I'll tell you. Or if not, I consult my friend over here, Les. He won't charge me. I asked him all kinds of things in conversations on the phone, particularly about this particular book that I am writing right now, which is story of a doctor that was killed in the hands of police in New Orleans. And as you know, violence on Black people, it's been going on forever. This happened 15 years ago, and her husband reached out to me, and we have been writing this book because although it happened 15 years ago, it altered his life. And now this is a person who is a psychiatrist and had an amazing career and an amazing practice. And she also had her own clinic where she helped people, people of low income. And she stopped to help somebody that was hit while riding a bike. And
it cost her life. She stopped to help to save her life.
The person lived, the victim lived, and the doctor died.
And the doctor died. Whoa.
Yes.
Because of how the police profiled her.
And how they treated her.
Yeah.
They handcuffed her and threw her in the back of the patrol car, and she died. And there was no restitution. The courts did not go in the family's favor. And she was just like Kamala Harris. She was half Jamaican, Black, and half Indian. Beautiful 51-year-old woman.
51-year-old. Rogue police have been getting away with murder for years, for centuries.
Mm-hmm.
For centuries.
And we have...
Yes.
We have to tell those stories.
We have to tell those stories.
If you have that story in you need to tell it.
You told me a statistic yesterday that I'm not going to reveal it now because I want people to get the book when it comes out. That's jaw-dropping in your investigation. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you got this book in you tell, that's the letter U, I write. You tell, I write. And at gmail.com. And also, you can go to Mario Santana at...
No, mariosantana.com. That's it.
mariosantana.com. Okay.
And if you have Spanish friends, you can tell them mariosantana.com/es en español.
Okay. Boy, well, we had the great times in New York.
Yes, we sure did. We sure did, especially during the show. It's important to tell a story. Can I tell them the story about when the guy from the funeral home called our station and told us the story?
Yeah.
May I?
Yeah.
So I was producing Les's show with another young man, and this guy called from a mortuary, from a funeral home in Harlem, and he said, "I've got a story to tell. I just buried 35 brothers, and our men are dying of prostate cancer. You guys need to do a story about that. You guys need to do a show about that." And within a week, right?
Mm-hmm.
Les was at this. We contacted him, and they did an interview, and then we also interviewed a doctor. And next day, you went to the doctor, right?
Yes.
And your life changed forever.
Yes, he said after I took the test, he called me the next day and said,
mm-hmm.
"I need you to come in." I said, "I'm a big boy. Tell me now." And he said, "You have prostate cancer." And that changed my life. And then all of a sudden, when I put in my resignation,
next day, we lost our jobs, people. The next day,
we lost our jobs.
He said, "No more show for me. That's it." And then people killed you. Remember that?
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, he came on with a PSA, a public service announcement with music playing "Nearer My God" today. Ladies and gentlemen, Les Brown is dying of prostate cancer.
Yes, this was somebody that didn't like you very much, envied you.
Did not like me. He said, "Let us pray for our brother." I got home and my phone is ringing off the hook, and I turned on the radio and heard him saying, "I'm dying? Boy, you talking about angry." I said, he can't put me In a casket? He's not God. I'm dying. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
No. Yeah, he was a piece of work. How many years
Yes.
ago was that?
27? About. Well, my
Oh,
son was
29.
little. 29. My son was little, and he's
The
now
emperor.
33 years old. The emperor, right?
Yes, yes. Wow.
So, and I got to tell you something about Les too. You know, even though he was going through hell with this prostate cancer, when my son turned, I think it was 8, 7 or 8, uh, he was playing. He used to go to Les's apartment. Yeah, I used to drop him off because I was working. You know, I worked in the news as a newscaster during the day, and then at night, and then during the day, I produced the show and stuff. And so my son was really good at playing Nintendo, and he beat Gladys Knight.
Yeah,
The queen who nobody ever beat before. And
right.
so she says, "How can you beat me? I am the queen of Nintendo." And he said, "Yes, but I am the emperor, ma'am." From that day on.
I called him the emperor.
And you know what he did? For his birthday, Les rented a limo with a hole on top and took him through Fifth from 42nd Street and First Avenue onto Fifth Avenue, and together they went like, you know, like saying hello to the to New Yorkers.
Yes.
Like I'm the emperor, and then he took him to FAO Schwartz, and my son was told, take as many toys as you like, and his father and I couldn't go. It was just the two of them.
Yes, the two of us.
And I was just frantic because here I am like, oh God, please don't tell me he can take anything he wants. What if he picks a very expensive toy because he thinks he's an emperor for real? And no, it turned out that my son was, you know, he was humble and he took just a few little things.
Yeah,
But we will never forget that. That is always going to be part of my storytelling, you know,
right.
and my son's too.
Yeah, the
You know
emperor.
how you change people's lives by, you know, just touching their lives and doing something that's memorable that they'll remember for the rest of their lives. So what have you done for people? What have people done for you that
Mhm.
can go in your story, you know, that can highlight who you were? Because that one little story told my son who this gentleman here is to us. He's my family. He's my brother. You know, we been together through thick and thin and through his surgery, and you know, I've seen you up and down and all about, and I see you, you know,
Yeah,
you're still here.
he's still
Thank,
here.
thank you, God.
Absolutely.
Still going strong and still inspiring people all over the world. So
Yeah.
I thank you so much for this opportunity because I know that you value my work. We have been working for so many years with very special people who have amazing stories inside of them,
Mhm.
and we help them bring that voice that in a vocal way, you know, just be able to tell it, to be narrators of their own products or their own stories or they do their own marketing all intertwined in a lovely story,
Yes.
a story that connects people to them, to
I
what
want
they
you,
do.
yes, I want you to go to you tell I write at gmail.com.
Yes.
You, just the letter U, you tell, Tell, I write, WRITE at gmail.com or MaurySantana.com. All right. Listen, Maui, I appreciate you. I'm getting ready for my 12 noon motivational message. And
Thank you.
I appreciate your friendship, and there are people who have books in them that they're ready to get out, and you're the right person. Your 16 years with Disney, nobody can tell a story like Disney. Wow.
Yes, absolutely.
I appreciate you. Tell the emperor I said hello. We got to do our ride through Manhattan virtually now.
Yes, we will. And thank you, everybody. Good luck to you. And don't forget to tell your story, even if you just write it on a piece of paper every day on a where just, you know, I always have pieces of paper on my desk or even at the dining table. Just write and take notes and share your story and share your inspiration. Thank you, Les. You inspire me every day.
Thank you. We inspire each other. Thank you. Bye, my friend.
Bye-bye.